Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. All has been quiet on the gaming front for a little while, especially Sweet Baby Inc., although there's been some bits and pieces here and there. There's not been much. Now we've got a, pretty major turn of events. So there's a new game coming out, Flintlock Siege of Dawn, and the usual suspects are running damage control before it's even released. Yes. Why is this? Well, because it's Sweet Baby Inc. They've influenced it, haven't they? They've got their grubby mitts into it. Good times. Got to keep that grift alive. Got to keep the grift alive. All of these narrative consultant companies, they don't want to lose their jobs, of course. Even though their job is entirely redundant and should be the job of a writer. But nonetheless, this is the world we live in at this point in time. So, we're going to take a look at this. There's an article which is linked down below that I'll be taking from. It's from That Park Place. Please do hit subscribe if you're new here, and please do turn the bell notifications on. So, like I said, the usual suspects are out. They're out in force, of course, and it's comical as hell. So this is Siege of Dawn, and as you can see here, it says a number of woke gaming outlets are attempting to put a positive spin on the upcoming Sweet Baby Inc. influenced game, Flintlock Siege of Dawn. Now, the founder of the Steam curator list, Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, and DEI Detected, which they're doing God's work, Cabrutus Rambo, revealed that Flintlock Siege of Dawn was influenced by Sweet Baby Inc. and the company's CEO, Kim Belair. He cited an interview in Edge magazine with the COO of the game's developer A44, Audrey Tops Harjo, I think, something like that anyway, that confirmed Belair's involvement. I mean, they are at this point in time. Sweet Baby Inc. is genuinely a cancer on the gaming industry. I've said it before, and I think it pays to say it again repeatedly. Actually, is that this is nothing new. We've seen this time and time again in movies and TV shows. This sort of DEI insertion in everything. But what you have with video games is a really unique storm in a bottle. So you have, although a big demographic, it's a relatively small demographic in terms of its broad reach, right? The amount of people that play video games is actually quite narrow. This isn't slighting video gamers or video games, but it is quite narrow. So when you try to insert sort of socialist, ideological propaganda and woke nonsense, however you want to frame it, into this sort of capitalist industry, because that's what it is, with a very, very, very narrow demographic, if they don't buy into what you're selling them, you're screwed. You're completely screwed. And you hit against the brick wall really quickly, and that's what we're seeing here. We haven't seen it in the movie industry because it's a broader demographic. There's enough there to try to keep it afloat for a while. Whereas with video games, they're just smashing against a brick wall. So many video games are just tanking now as a result of all of this. It's fascinating to watch in real time. If only it was the same with the movie industry, but it's really quite incredible actually. It's incredible to watch, and it's incredible to think that these people thought that this was a viable option. It just goes to show how stupid they are, or how egotistical they are. One of the two. Anyway, so the outlet reported, for Flintlock, it was Tops Harjo who brought on Kim Belair, the Montreal-based narrative director who has advocated for better representation in stories as a means of bringing new and exciting ideas to games. Okay, but they don't work. She took the wonderful base layer Derek had, the world, and just elevated it. You know the difference when there's a person who's reflecting it at you, and it's true. There's a certain truth that resonates that can't be faked. I know some people won't notice, but the people who are attuned to that, they'll get it immediately. Cool. Excellent. So the interview also details the game's narrative is full of woke ideological propaganda. That's just fantastic. It's what everyone wants. Those gods are almost a symbol of colonialism. Cool. They are people who have taken over your agency. What do you do when you wrestle with that structure to find and gain your own identity? It's still a game, it's still gods and guns, but when you look at it from that lens, there's another layer on top of that from Nor not being a woman of colour. From Nor being a woman of colour. That's apparently the character's name. Sorry. It makes the character and the dynamic even more of an echo of reality. Fantastic. So just more propaganda to feed a bunch of morons that feel like they're oppressed non-stop. Cool. Can't wait. Anyway, so we've got Cabrutus Rambo here. So he posted all of this. I think it's worthwhile going through. So he says this. Hey guys, I added another game to my curator list. The game is called Flintlock The Siege of Dawn. And as shown in this physical copy of the Edge magazine, it involves Kim Belair. I've waited a bit before deciding to add this one, because a developer from Flintlock team reached out to me through my email, stating that they eradicated the Sweet Baby Inc. part and basically remade it completely. At this point, together with my staff, I've decided to give them the chance to prove this, allowing us access to the game pre-release and asking their manager to have a conversation with me. They openly refused on both parts, leaving me without any way to confirm what they were telling us. This doesn't speak very well about them. So yeah, new game is on the list. I think I reported on this at the time actually, because it's just fascinating to see. But anyway, we'll shuffle on a little bit more of this article here. It's truly great. So following Cabrutus Rambo, the fact that people know that the list is the death of a game, the death knell of a game, is just fantastic. So following Cabrutus Rambo, adding the game to the detected curator list, former World of Warcraft lead Mark Kern Grums also claimed that the game had been overrun by woke and cited an anonymous source. Proof Sweet Baby Inc. ruins games. Sweet Baby Inc. game Flintlock by A44 Games has been overrun by woke. I used to work here, or there, sorry. Just hit load. Flintlock was a good project with lots of potential, then it was ruined. Good times. Just what everyone wants. So he says further, by the way, he says, before I go further, please note that this is a rumour from a source that seems very knowledgeable about the studio's inner workings. Take that as it is. If others would like to verify, please DM me anonymously. The CEO and COO at A44 are no longer with the company, but the damage seems to have been done. The good developers at A44, I tell you how to fix it at the end of this thread. So, and I covered this at the time. So this character used to be white, for starters. And there's evidence of that as well, which is, again, just comical as hell. But anyway, what's the sort of latest on this? Because this is just a bit of a recap. So if we scroll all the way down. So following the game being added to the Steam curator list in Kern's report, Lissy Kane, the senior operations and growth manager for Kepler Interactive, the video game developer publishing the game, raged on social media. Absolutely fuming, vibrating off the effing plane of reality, this piss-weak pseudo-journalism that the far-right Gamergate are taking is so vile. Incredible to see in real time and close to home how wrong Grums is and how damaging he and his weird troupe are. Glad that you are validating that people have power as consumers. Good. Maybe you should think twice about catering to another demographic rather than your audience. Sound like idiots. Anyway, so there's a piece on The Gamer titled Flintlock Siege of Dawn is a hit in need of a crowd. You what? Ironically, she concludes the article by admitting it is anything but a hit. So she says, following, playing it felt like preparing sound bites for a future conversation. I played that at Summer Game Fest once. Yeah, it was alright. Shame it never really found its crowd. I hope I'm wrong. Because there was a lot to like about Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, but just a month out from release, I find myself fearful for its future. It does look good, just as an FYI. Like, it does look good. But these people have to learn. And they have to learn the hard way, because they're not taking just gentle recommendations, are they? No, these people need to be obliterated. Absolutely obliterated into the dirt. David Smith at Kotaku, Australia, also tried to hype up the game. He compared it to Square Enix's Forspoken. Bad comparison. I mean, that literally had a developer shutdown, but fine. Flintlock Siege of Dawn, he says, looks like Forspoken. But actually good this time. Fucking what? That's terrible. It looks like Forspoken, but actually good this time. I'm seeing spells and guns, which are obviously two great tastes that taste great together. But there's also quite a bit of vertically and dexterous character movement, which is always great to see. It's also described as a Souls light, which I appreciate. Of note, he provides no information on the story or narrative. Good times. People do come for the story, guys. Like, come on. Dexito, sorry, appeared to provide more honest review of the game. So says Flintlock the Siege of Dawn, a competent Souls-like with a rough demo. The game ultimately feels a little rough around the edges, unable to hone in on any particular strength. In one moment, I was firing off explosives, easily knocking down foes from afar. In another, a single enemy took me out of action in 2 strikes. Then, I found myself in the middle of a platforming-based puzzle. It was all a bit jumbled together, with little in the way of proper direction. Before long, he says, even in the brief hands-on window, I found myself simply ignoring most enemies. With multiple sprawling paths forward, I found it more effective to just avoid combat altogether, sprinting through areas to get to the next step in the quest. Though I'm not entirely sure that's how the game is meant to be played. Brilliant. It seems to be a competent enough Souls-like with a bit of added flair, but its limitations are also quite evident. Existing in that AA space and presenting decently enough, but not being quite as epic in scope or dazzling with its visuals to draw folks in, it's a bit of a tough sell. So there you go. I mean, media's running damage control already. Yeah. It's great though, isn't it, to have that confirmation. Yes, you are aware that that curator list is the death knell, and you are aware that, consumers do have power. Good. Remember that next time you make a game that appeals to a tiny demographic. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and please do share it. Also, if you want to help out, because we do get demonetized here, please do support further via Patreon. You can find the link, well, literally just down below in the description box. So that'd be great. Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye now.